Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 1 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strangebird Jim, and today we're going to be getting ourselves back into more Pega certification studies. We have some more videos to upload from yesterday. Um, then I might try to see what I can do about getting back into working on the website. And then after that, we got some Final Fantasy VII later on tonight. So that is the plan for today's stream. Now, for those of you that might be coming in uh, later on, like maybe you just found this video on YouTube later, I want to thank you for joining in. Uh, this video in particular is kind of late in the series, so if you're kind of interested in, studying along with me with the Pega certification, then, um, I do have a playlist. I have included that playlist in the description, so you're welcome to check that out if you'd like. Um, I've gone through um, pretty much everything for the system architect as well as the business architect. Well, not everything for the business architect, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Um, so if you're interested in trying to, if you're studying for the Pega certification and you just want more material, or you want me to maybe put my thoughts down, for you to um, use for your own journey in the certification, then you're welcome to go through it. But I mean, it's a pretty lengthy playlist by now, because the um, when you're studying for the Pega certification, they say that it will only take you a couple days, but in fact, I feel like it will take longer. Because not only do you have to read the material, but you have to understand the material, and that's more time than what they are putting down in their you know time frame of the academy for these particular topics. Um, but that's of course my experience on it. So now, um, who am I? What am I doing with these videos? So on and so forth. Let's get into that. Okay, so um, right now I am currently an unemployed software developer, whose last job was working in working with a company that taught us about or tried to teach us about the Pega environment. Was then contracted out to other businesses to try to work on, within the Pega environment, and um, well, that job didn't last very long. As much as I asked to have different circumstances happen, it didn't. So I was, later laid off. So let me explain a little bit further. So the last job that I had, you know, we were trained initially. First part of it wasn't too bad. I had, you know, um, had an instructor that was teaching us all about Java, but I already knew pretty much, all there was to learn about Java for the most part. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't learn some little tidbits here and there and anything that was, changed over time, you know. So, I mean, there's that. But by that point, you know, I was decently familiar with Java by that point. Okay. Not to say that I would be able to, code up, a brand new application by myself, because let's face it, you're going to need a team in some cases for that. It's really hard to do when you're by yourself. Not to say that it can't happen, it's just better with a team. Um, but the second half of the training was uh, we were me and like 20 others or so in the team. We were given an authorized training partner who is uh, who was supposed to teach us all about the Pega environment, but unfortunately he never really, we asked him questions that he didn't answer. Um, I asked him why in certain cases about, things that, why they, did this particular method in this particular way, and he didn't have any answers on that. Um, he would, he put down other people's computer systems because they couldn't run the extremely memory uh, and memory heavy program that the Pega environment is. So if you're thinking that your PC can handle downloading the what Pega is all about, the Pega environment, well, you better hope that you have a pretty beefy computer because it requires a lot. Okay. Um, my computer had a hard time with, the computer that I had at that time was, had some difficulties in running the program. Um, but of course, he was like on, yeah, well, apparently it's just all your computers and stuff like that. It's like, well, yes, and but yet no. It's also the program that was also really, extremely large for the purposes of what we were trying to use it for. So it was a mess. Um, uh, Pretty much, myself and many others in the group went full self-study by the at least probably midway through, if not or sooner. We were not happy with the instructions going on. Um, so um, so there was that. Um, we were pushed out into the contract afterwards, even though a lot of us were asking to be put back into another training cycle with a different authorized training partner, but that didn't happen. Um, the authorized training partner's coworkers knew that he was screwing up too. He screwed up on, with them, so it was like, so it wasn't just us that were having issues with the with our instructor. So we asked to be put back into a training cycle. That was denied. We were pushed out into contracts. And in my particular case, I was pushed out into a contract without the certification until the one and only time that I did take the certification, I had not finished all of my self-study by that point. They pushed me early to try to take the certification, and Um, I knew that I was going to fail it. I told him that I was going to fail it. Well, I failed it. Even though I tried to put my best foot forward on it, it wasn't enough to get past um, the very specific answers that they were asking for, the very specific questions. You know, Obviously for their respective topics. And the fact that the certification for 8.6 that I was studying for, we saw Pega 7 questions in that examination as well. So it was just um, a lot of problems. Um, didn't get it, pushed out into a contract, and you know that's when I was asking for more mentorship afterwards because, I didn't have my certification. So I was kind of hoping for more of a mentorship role afterwards, having someone that could, you know, teach me, more than what the authorized training partner could. But that never happened. There was no mentorship. So it basically fell on my shoulders to continue on my self-study on it, but I did not do that during my work hours. It was really difficult for me to kind of justify, you know, doing self-study without some kind of corporate backing kind of thing. I always felt like, I should be, doing some form of work, but, when in fact I should have just been focused more on the self-studies and stuff like that. So, but that never happened. No mentorship, no put back into another training cycle, nothing. So, and there was a bunch of layoffs. I was one of them. Um, so yeah. Um, if you're watching this right now and you are thinking that I'm some form of authorized training partner or this is some form of instructor-led training, it is not. Sorry, sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm not either one of these things. I'm just trying to work my way towards getting that certification. So um, if you're, hopefully you're okay with that because I can't really offer you very much else on that. I'm going through the topics, I'm going through the challenges, and I'm putting my own thought lines and ideas along with them. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. That's what these videos are all about. If I have questions, I'm hoping that someone that is maybe like an authorized training partner, or instructor, or lead, or whomever has experience, sees these videos and can answer the questions that I post because, there's some topics in here that I feel are very difficult to understand. So, if you want to do the instructor-led training, you're more than welcome to, but bear in mind that it is, from what I read, it's like a 2-week course for around $5,000. So not exactly cheap. And the amount of information that you're going to be getting for the Pega environment within those 2 weeks is probably going to be intense. And that's probably going to be a lot of information all at once. So you're going to want to take a lot of notes, take a lot of video recordings, and ask a lot of questions because you're not going to have, um, they're going to basically put a lot on you during this instructor-led training. Or hopefully you can ask questions. I don't really know. I've never taken the instructor-led training, so I don't really know. It is hosted by the Pega Academy, so one would hope that they have a section for you to ask questions and the like. Because believe me, um, with the amount of information that they're going to give you, you're going to need to know, you're going to need to ask questions to make sure that they clarify everything. So, but my focus is trying to get the system architect certifications certification. Um, so we're gonna get started on that real quick. Again, if you're here for the business architect, I have covered through this mission for 8.7. I covered these 2 missions in 2 modules. It's already done. It's already on my playlist. You can go back to my playlist and check all that out. Okay. But I would recommend before you do that, before you click pause or go to my channel and check out the playlist. Before you do that, hold on. Go to, make sure that you get the Pega Express delivery as well. Okay. These 2 modules are supposed to cover the Pega Express delivery, but I don't think it does a good job at it. It covers the bare minimum, if that. So make sure that you go through the Pega Express delivery, in my particular opinion, because the Pega Express delivery is 12% of your grade. Make sure that you get 100% of that 12%. Okay, I know that sounds very odd. I get it, but make sure that you know this inside and out so that you can answer all the questions on the certification without, you know, being confused or questioning that, is this truly the right answer? So, um, system architect. It says here that we have 7 hours and 35 minutes remaining. Um, there is one challenge. Again, I have not received any kind of follow-up email concerning the localizing a UI form. I have not been able to complete this, or at least, I wasn't able to complete it when I tried to go through that challenge. They have not reached out to me to, for us to kind of figure out what's going on with it. I cannot complete it in this state right at this moment in time, so I don't know. Um, there's nothing I can do with it right at this moment in time. I have to wait for them to reply back to me concerning my problems that I've had with this particular challenge. I hope they do because I mean I'm coming to the end of this mission right now, and I could really use their um, I mean, I can click on this and say, "Hey, the challenge is done," but I personally have not seen the localizing a UI form to do what it's saying. Okay, it did not translate. It did not upload the translation into the server to change the English to Spanish. It did not do that. Um, so I'm hoping that they will see the suggestion, they will see my feedback on it, and help me figure out why. So, um, but right now, there's nothing I can do about it. I have to move on, and move on. I have. So, we are down to finishing off testing your application today. We're gonna be doing testing your application next. We got that one module after that, and then the last challenge before we hit the mission exercise and mission test. So we are very close to the end. After we're done with that, then we will move into taking mock tests. We will be looking through topics that I struggled with, um, cover topics that um, I will most likely be missing questions on this. Okay, there's no doubt about that in my mind. That I will probably be struggling on some of the topics. Okay, um, but um, you know the um, we'll take the topics that I've missed and we'll go back over them. We'll go back over the questions that I missed and try to figure out, um, why I missed them. Trying to understand the material better, and you know, ideally, we want to try to take this mission test and get 100% on it. Not to say that I want to memorize the questions and the answers because that does me no good. I need to know the information behind it. I need to know the topics. I need to know, why, you know, the answers are the answers the way they are for the questions that they are presented. Okay, you know, I need to know the whys of it. I need to understand the topics. Okay, so therefore, when I take a certification exam, okay, I'll be able to look at a question and go, that's what you're looking for. Okay, check that off. Okay, they're not going to be giving you questions, you know, on the mission test here in the certification exam. Okay, they are not going to be the same. If you think that they are, sorry to burst your bubble, but no. There might be some that might be similar, maybe, but more often than not, no. You're going to be seeing new questions and differently worded answers in there. So be prepared on your knowledge of the Pega environment, not the knowledge of the questions in the Pega environment. You you understand the difference, right? I hope so. Yeah. So we have one last topic here about test coverage. We're going to cover that for today. We will go over the module quiz at the very end, and then that will be it for today's study session. So let's get into it, shall we? So test coverage, the industry best practice for test automation. Industry best practices for test automation are roughly shown as an ideal test pyramid. Test types at the bottom of the pyramid, such as unit testing, are the least expensive to run, easiest to maintain, and take the least amount of time to run, and usually present the greatest number of tests in the test suite. Test types at the top of the pyramid, such as scenario testing, are the most expensive to run, hardest to maintain, and take the most time to run, and should represent the least number of tests in the test suite. The higher up the pyramid you go, the higher the overall cost. So, so you have scenario testing, UI based. You have functional testing, which is API based, and then of course you have the unit testing. So, with built-in tools, Pega Platform helps developers ensure that tests in their test suite cover the most rules in their application regardless of type. The test coverage tool. This test coverage tool determines how many rules are covered in your application's various test suites. An uncovered rule is a rule that is not tested by a Pega Platform test. The tool provides a test coverage report that shows how many and which rules in your application are covered and not covered by tests. You can use this data to analyze changes in test coverage and verify which rules require testing. You can generate two types of test coverage reports. User-level test coverage reports identify which executable rules in your current included applications are covered and not covered by tests. You have application-level coverage reports, contain test coverage results from multiple users. While both reports identify which executable rules in your currently included applications are covered and not covered by tests, only application level coverage reports contain results from multiple users. Right. Results from application level coverage reports are visible in the application quality dashboard in Dev Studio. Results from user level test coverage reports are visible in the coverage history section. So, it'd be nice if they showed a little bit more images about this. You know, like where do you go for the test coverage tool? Um, because I guess this is showing where the test coverage tool is. I would hope so. Because so far they're not showing it, are they? All right, so let's look at this here. Coverage statistics. The test coverage statistics are presented at the top of the test coverage report. These statistics show what percentage of application rules are covered by current tests, the total number of executable rules in your application, the total number of covered rules in your application, and the total number of uncovered rules in your application. So if you have a really small percentage here, then you're probably going to want to handle all your uncovered rules right at this moment in time because um, you're not making sure that your application is running well, you know. or you're not confirming that your application is um, running at exactly the way you want it to. Okay, I could throw some very confusing um, data into the application, and I could basically break the application if you're not careful with it. So, um, you know, like I mentioned that one time where I found the login screen where any username and password could be allowed into the system. If you don't have a way to test that username and password, then you're just gonna let it go right on through, and you're not gonna catch the potential errors there. So make sure that you make those you know unit tests. Make sure that you get those you know um, tests done. So filter section. Elements in the filter section help you target a search for rules that have been updated after a certain date. You can also filter by covered and uncovered rules. Coverage results. The results section shows the rule names based on filter conditions, along with their rule type, the class each applies to, and their containing rule sets. For example, sorting by uncovered rule helps developers quickly identify which tests they need to design to cover specific rules. Session history. The session history section shows details about previously run test coverage sessions, including information about the operator, number of rules covered, and the start and end time for each session. So, as you can see, you have this being done. 9 rules covered. This one does a lot. 505, but still. All right. Test coverage session configuration. To begin a test coverage session, the system first needs to know which application to measure test coverage. You can ensure that your current application is reflected in the application quality settings page in DevStudio by clicking Configure, Application, Quality, and Settings. Tested applications can be independently built on the same application or built on top of each other. Um, so, you can have it, focus on like the one, or you can have it include like multiple applications. So, which, I mean, if you have an application that's kind of built like in conjunction with another one, um, like you might have a system that, handles, in this particular case, like like a user needing to report that they are, have a flat tire out there in the road, and then you have another application that kind of receives that information and tries to process everything to send the driver out there or something along those lines, right? So so both of those could you know are kind of working together to handle the situation at that particular moment in time. Um, so let's look at it this way. If you had an application that was like, hey, I'm gonna send my insurance company that I have a flat tire. I could use a tow truck out, to pick up the car and help me um, get it to a repair shop to fix the flat, right? But what happens if that message never gets to like a server or anything along those lines? It never gets anywhere. It just basically stops. So you're basically out on, and who knows, however, wherever you are, and you're not getting any help whatsoever. Are you going to be happy with your insurance company after that? Probably not, right? Um, so, um, so yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you'd um, you know, if you're trying to work on like, you know, multiple applications all, you know, to kind of tackle like multiple processes of something, then yeah, you're probably going to want to do, you know, like, you know, include built-on applications in that particular case, right? You know, unless of course it doesn't really matter. You're maybe just focused on like the customer's application, and that's it. You know, that's all you care about, which is perfectly fine. You know, let's bear in mind that, you know, your focus might be just on, you know, like your one particular level, or you know, your one particular application, right? Um, but um, but just know that, um, you know, if it's tied in with like other applications or something along those lines, where um, you know, you have more of a back end that handles the customer's request, and you're probably going to want to like a team that handles everything as well, you know. So sure, you might have a you know, team working on one particular section, you know, one particular section, but you know, you're probably also going to want to have a team that handles everything, you know. Not only the, um, not only making sure that all the applications are uh, working well with each other, but you're also probably going to want, you know, a team within that group that handles testing, you know, if, you know, the information from one application is going on to the second application without any changes. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. User role requirements. Because test coverage sessions are associated with a particular user, certain configuration requirements must be met before a test coverage session can begin. A user needs the role sysadmin 4 to run test suites. Only users with either sysadmin 4 or user 4 role can contribute data for test coverage. For example, if another user who does not have the sysadmin or user 4 role runs a test, it does not count towards rule test coverage. Only users with the PZ start or stop master app rule coverage, that's a that's a name, privilege can initiate application level coverage. Application level test reports merges. When an application level test coverage session is running, multiple users who have the sysadmin or user 4 role can perform tests to contribute to the coverage report. Because multiple users are contributing to test coverage, the system records each test instance as a separate test report. To consolidate data, you can generate a single consolidated test coverage report by merging multiple application level test coverage reports. You navigate the test coverage page in DevStudio by clicking Configure Application Quality Test Coverage to merge application level test reports. In the coverage history section, you can review the titles, dates, and coverage statistics of reports, and then click Merge Reports to consolidate testing. Only the latest application level test report of each application in the system is displayed for selection when you click Merge Reports. So, okay. Check your knowledge with the following. Which two statements are true about test automation and test coverage data? So, um, so unit tests take the least amount of time to run. Okay, yeah, and usually represent the greatest number of tests in the test suite. Sure, that's true. Multiple users can contribute simultaneously to application level test coverage reports. Did we just read that? I think we did, and contribute simultaneously? Don't know if they can, actually. Sorry, I kind of missed that. Let's look at the others first, just to see if we can like maybe remove some choices here. Results from user level test coverage reports are visible in the application quality dashboard. I don't believe that's true. No. Scenario testing, UI-based tests are the least expensive to run and easiest to maintain. No, that is also incorrect. So those two. Results from the user level test coverage reports, are basically, viewable here in the coverage history. So that's why it's like, not the application quality dashboard. That doesn't apply. Okay. The second, the scenario testing, UI-based tests are the least expensive. No, not according to the pyramid that it's up here. It is the most expensive and, most difficult to test. So, um, so, and hardest to maintain. So yeah, this last one is also incorrect. So let's look at these answers here and let's see what they say here. So unit tests are indeed faster or more represented than scenario tests, which take more time to run and are least represented in the test suite. Well, I mean, you didn't really explain why unit tests are typically, faster, overall, but whatever. So long as the users have the user for role, they can perform tests that contribute to the coverage report. That means nothing. Or, I mean, and plus, you know, is the user for role something that is applied to every single application out there? Like, if I create a brand new application out there and um, I look in their listing of roles, will I see a user for as a default? I don't know if that's true. That seems a little odd to me. So the fact that they're really kind of being very specific here is a little worrisome. Um, so, um, but I mean, they set it up here. Um, because multiple users who are contributing to test coverage. Um, Now, the thing that I didn't really see here is, are they truly able to do simultaneous, you know, um, okay. Um, I think, I think I should probably address this in these, you know, in a suggestion here because I feel like they really should add that more in the topics. So, so 1 second. Let me save the picture here real quick. I will put in the suggestion that, maybe um, in the final question, I was a little um, reluctant to select the second answer because it stated that users could contribute simultaneously. Typically, can be quite dangerous at times when it comes to programming. Incompatible code and incompatible variables, data, etc. can all potentially cause problems. So being able to contribute simultaneously can be a bit worrisome. The problem here is that it was never addressed within the topic. Would recommend that you add more within the topic itself, addressing why the users can contribute simultaneously. Screenshot attached. Yeah, submitting that. Okay. So that's that. We'll move on to the module quiz. Apparently 5 minutes. 5 minutes for 5 questions? I don't think so there, guys. Come on. I've gotten 5 minutes for like 3 questions before, and or, like 10 minutes for 3 questions. It's like, come on. Oh well. Go on. Which 2 features does the assertion marker provide for test scenarios? Wait, I don't remember that at all. Hold on. I've never heard of the assertion marker. Or at least it's not coming to my mind right at this moment in time. It's not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. Last one. Wow. And this is the problem with some of their questions. How am I supposed to answer this if this was never even talked about in their topics? Okay, maybe they put the assertion. Obviously, it's and maybe it's not in like anywhere in here. Maybe it's in one of their sometimes they've done the um, they put information in those little plus symbols from time to time, like, hey, you click the plus symbol and you'll see like additional information, right? So maybe it's in one of these somewhere. But I don't remember the assertion marker at all. Nope, not there. Don't see it 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 there. Okay. Oh boy. Yep. Okay. So already. Um, First question, man, and I'm already going, what the heck are you guys even talking about here? Um, uh, okay. Um, Assertion marker. What is that? It was not described anywhere within the previous topics. Um, so how can I answer this question? You did not provide any information concerning it. Would highly recommend that you put this uh, keyword or whatever it is in the previous topics and or remove the question because you aren't providing the necessary information for us to know the answer to the question. This would be a guessing question if it was on the certification test. Please fix. Yikes. Okay, so we're starting out very strong, right there, folks? Okay. Let's figure out what's going on here. So, add a wait time following an action in a UI element. Okay. Maybe add a time to wait before an action that is being executed in a UI element. Maybe provide logic to skip the step when appropriate. Hmm. I'm not quite sure what this is really all about, to be honest. I can only guess as to what the assertion marker is all about. Um, because again, they didn't provide any helpful information on in this to really know, what I can do. So I can only guess there, folks. Sorry. Again, I don't know Pega well enough to be able to go, oh yeah, I know exactly what the assertion marker does, and this is what I can do. That's not me. Okay, I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega. So for those of you that might be watching right now, and maybe if you have the answer, please provide it to me, like right now in chat or um, in the comment section down below. Go right ahead, put it down there because I mean, if I'm looking at this right now and the previous topics did nothing about explaining it prior, then I have nothing to go on right now. So now one could say like, oh, it might have been like in one of the side links, right? They probably could have said like, they might kind of say, oh, it's like in this link or something like that, right? Maybe it's in one of those side links. But that's a problem because, you know, um, if you're giving questions on the test here, then it should be something important that should be in the main topic itself. Or the main topic should be including, if this is like, if like the assertion marker is needing a entirely new topic just by itself, then they should include that. So saying, hey, click on another link to see like, um, you know, to see like additional information. That that goes against the idea that, like, whenever I see this, it's like, okay, sure, they're basically saying, hey, if you want more information, go ahead and look at it. But they're they're basically, by doing something along those lines, by saying, hey, here's some additional details. On one hand, yes, it is important because, I mean, you need to know what you can about the topic at hand. I get that. Okay, but here's the problem with there's another detail about that. Okay, when you do something along these lines, it basically says that it's not as important to the main topic. Okay, if it was really important, something that they really wanted to address, it would be there in that main topic for you to read. Okay, having another link off to a different topic that they're not including in the main, overall module means that you're basically saying, you know, sure, it might be kind of important, but not really. You know what I'm saying? You understand that mentality of it, you know. Um, you know, it's not even a footnote, okay? It's not even a note, you know. These little notes add additional information. It's not even that. They can't even include that into as a note, there, folks. Okay? So it's like, okay, well, you know, how important is it? So, um, and even then, some of these are like, hey, here's a link to even more links. Okay. you know, you're sending me to link hell. you know. Um, I once had a professor that got lost in his own link hell, trying to find information about the lecture that he was planning on talking about. He didn't he didn't prep himself for the lecture on where to go, on the topics that he wanted to talk about prior to the lecture. And he got lost in his own website that he designed that was just full of links that led to every other page that had even more links that led to even more links it was it was a whirlpool of links that just was a confusing mess. And and if they're basically saying, hey, you have to go here in order to find this particular topic, then that is a bad way of going about doing that. Okay, you are, um, you are actively, you know, sabotaging your developers. So yeah, nothing there. Page isn't even found. They provide a link that isn't even confirmed, or is dead, is a dead link. Oh, jeez. Um, yep, nothing there either. I don't know. I wouldn't really know where to really begin looking for this right at this moment in time, so I'm just gonna have to kind of guess at this point. Okay, let me try to do an educated guess here. Okay, first off, assertion marker. Okay, um, you know, just by that alone, it sounds to me like, hey, you're putting a specific point in in the testing in the test suite or unit test or whatever, and you're basically saying, hey, I want to put something into that particular location. Okay, like maybe I want to pause right there so that I could, put something into it. Okay. So so maybe I'm trying to add a time to wait before an action that is being executed on a UI element. Okay. Maybe I'm just trying to do that so that I can put in information into a UI element and so that it will then execute that UI element afterwards. Again, I don't really know. Um, I don't think that it has to do with creating a validate rule for a UI element. That doesn't feel like it is. Um, um, I don't think providing a different rule, a validation rule on the UI element fits with what an assertion marker might be. Because rules are typically something that is very defined, very like previously established or something along those lines. Um, so trying to create an insertion into a testing feels very temporary. Okay, it feels like it's something that you can just kind of remove if you need to. And validation rule doesn't feel like it fits in that. Okay. So right now, I'm kind of leaning more towards this, providing logic to skip the step when appropriate. Okay. Meaning like, hey, I might be putting some random information in for like the address and phone number, but it really doesn't matter all that much. So maybe you just want to kind of skip it. That's the clearest thing that I can think of for this moment in time. I don't think it's following an action. I don't think that's correct, and I don't think that it's a validation rule. So it's the clearest thing that I can think of there, folks. So feedback. Of course. Apparently, I'm both of those are wrong. Okay. Well, my thought line was definitely way off the mark in this particular case. Okay. Um, then I have no idea what the assertion marker is all about then, because apparently it's add wait time following an action in UI element, and it creates a validation rule for the UI element. Okay, what is an assertion rule then, or assertion marker? I have no clue. No idea about that. So we move on. Which three items are best practices for unit tests? Okay, unit test development should occur after an application is released? No. To maximize rule test coverage, including enough tests to cover all input and output combinations? I mean, probably. That'd be a good idea, but we'll see. Is it the best practice? Um, to cover all input and output combinations might be a little much for unit tests, um, but again, don't really know. I'm just you know I don't know if you should create a unit test for all input and output combinations. Because I mean, like input, might be like, hey, put in your address or something like that, and you might not necessarily care what the address is all about, you know. So as long as it doesn't like, destroy the database or something like that, then maybe you won't really care about the input, you know. Um, but I don't know. Um, okay. It is high priority to create unit tests for rules that have predictable results. Okay. Sure. That makes sense. It is high priority to create unit tests for rules that undergo frequent changes. No, no, that's not. Um, that is one that typically you have a hard time creating unit tests for something along those lines. So I don't think that's the correct answer there. Tests that contain rules with wide usage across the application are high priority to configure. I could see that. So let's see if that is true. Okay. Um, you don't make unit tests after an application is released. You want to make sure that the application is tested prior to release. So this is the reason why this answer is incorrect. Frequent changes makes the unit test almost, useless. You can't really do a unit test if there's something for a rule that undergoes frequent changes. Like if it's something like where it's like, hey, I need an answer that's alphabetic, and then it goes, well, actually, no, I need something that outputs to numerical, and now your unit test is now failing on that. So that's why it's like it's not exactly great to have something that undergoes frequent changes. So that's the reason why this one doesn't really work. So so two, because your unit tests cover a wide range of scenarios, ensure that enough validations are created to cover all positive and negative scenarios. To cover all, again, I don't know if you want to make a unit test for every single last little bit there, but uh, um, I mean, probably in an ideal world, yes. You probably I do want to do that. But in the real world, you're probably looking for something that, you're more interested in the data that it's extremely necessary for. Like, uh, like if you are doing an application, or you're doing an application, you're doing a program, where you're trying to make an application where the user will, um, you know, like the service, right? You're saying like, hey, I got a flat tire. Are you are you really going to be caring too much about where the user's house is? Probably not. You're probably going to be wondering where that person is at that particular moment in time, right? I mean, why would you really be caring too much about where they live? So you wouldn't necessarily, care too much about, you know, about the user's address, right? Now, if you are creating an application that they need to sign up for the service, then yes, you will need to care more about the address. But if you're creating an application that, you know, that doesn't really matter, you know, you might be like, you might want to use it maybe for user validation or something like that, but maybe that isn't something um, that might not necessarily be a rigorous check or anything along those lines. Because again, they might be out on the road. Okay, they might be, on out on a freeway or something like that. It doesn't, their home address isn't going to help you find where their current location is. You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's like, um, it really depends on your application and what you're needing it for. So, um, so that's all. That's um, so I would imagine this is something that in an ideal world, sure. In the real world, probably not all. Just saying. So rules that do not undergo frequent changes that require maintenance should be high priority for configuring unit tests. Yep. This is a high priority example for when to configure unit tests, since these rules would have wider impact across your application. So, all right, moving on. Which two use cases are supported by the test coverage tool? Choose two. Okay, so test coverage tool. List the number of covered rules that were updated in the last week. Mm, I don't think it really cares about if it was covered within the last week or anything like that. It just shows the number of rules, period, that were covered. So I don't think this really matters all that much. So we'll hold off on that one for now. Merge data from multiple user level coverage reports. I believe it does do that, so yes. Show which type of test is needed to cover a certain rule. No, I don't think it really does that at all. Identify how many rules are not covered by tests in your application. Yes. So I believe those are the two correct answers. Okay, apparently it doesn't merge data. Wait, I thought it did though. Hold on. Okay. Hmm. The results of user level test coverage reports are not visible in Dev Studio's application quality dashboard. But we're not talking about the application quality dashboard here. We're talking about the coverage test tool here. Mm, or maybe we are. Results from application level coverage reports are visible in the application quality dashboard in Dev Studio. Results from user level test coverage reports are visible in the coverage history section. So maybe that is, I don't know. It feels as though they're saying, hey, here's this test coverage tool. Another name for it is application quality dashboard. Hmm. I'm not sure about that there, folks. And I thought merging reports is part of that, but apparently not. Um, I mean, I, hmm. These other two answers I don't really see as viable though. It's like, you wouldn't really care whether or not, um, what was updated in last week or anything along those lines. You would just basically be more concerned about like, what is being covered, just period. So, I don't know. This feels, this doesn't feel correct. And, show which type of test is needed to cover a certain rule. I don't think it does that at all. Um, let's see. Hmm, let's see. Maybe it is that third answer. The concern that I have with this one is the fact that, it's basically saying like, hey, um, you have this rule there, and we're gonna just basically say, hey, you're gonna need this type of test no matter what. And it's like, does it really have that kind of analytical ability to determine like what type of test you need to do for it? I mean, don't get me wrong, I see here, you know, like the rule type and stuff like that, but a test type? I don't know if it really has that to have a type of test. I don't think it really does that. So I'm going to pick this one and move on from there. When unit testing a rule, use a data transform during the test. What does the data transform do? Distinguish the test data from other pages in memory. Records the results of the unit test. Um, provides initial values for properties used to in rule evaluation. Copies test results to the clipboard. Um, I feel like this one would be the best one for this. So because you don't necessarily care about copies test results to clipboard, you're not really caring about the records of results of the unit test. That's going to be handled anyway. Distinguish the test data from other pages in memory. What's the point of doing that? You're not really caring about that. So I'm thinking provides initial values for properties used in rule evaluation. Let's see. Yeah. So you're just basically providing, information there to, you know, you know, confirm that um, the rule does what it needs to do. So you create a test case for a decision table and verify the results. For a few weeks later, another developer runs the test case again and the test fails. Changes to which of the two following configurations can cause this result. Um, I mean, these two. Um, the user performs unit test doesn't really matter. The page contained the decision table input properties. What? Um, no. I mean that shouldn't really matter. I mean unless you are changing the page input values, that might get included in there. Well, if it's not this third answer, then it's the first one, but I figure these two are the best ones, so yeah. So basically, meaning that, hey, the values that you input into the decision table for it to kind of look through and see, like, does this actually work? If it does, great, it moves on, and, sends you back the return value to it. But if you're changing the input properties of it and, the return values are changed because of it, and you're expecting different return values, then, well, and then it fails, right? So, okay. Yeah, passed with 100% there. Um, this is obviously a very long video right at this moment in time, but I want to go through um, um, I want to kind of see the um, there was one where I was like going, wait, why did they pick this one? I want to see what they say about it. So, um, um, that one, and that one. Let's see what they say about that. Okay, assertion marker provides the ability to add validation to UI element. Okay. The assertion marker provides a wait time option. Okay. Why would it need to provide a wait time option? Especially after the UI element is done. Hmm. this is again one of those scenarios where it's like, could probably really, you know, um, might really be nice if I could see where they're getting their information from on this and, um, see exactly what they're kind of referring to or, what they're, what's going on there to kind of see, why. So, okay, apparently nothing there. Okay, I have no idea. I don't know, I was kind of hoping that maybe, this would provide something considering confirming the assertion marker at all. But it really doesn't. So, make sure that I'm spelling it correctly. Overflow markers. There's page assertions. Okay, well, these are the first two locations here. Alright, assertion marker isn't even there, so this is apparently either they changed the name from assertion to flow, which I wouldn't put it past them. It's not even on this page either. Okay, even Pega documentation doesn't know exactly where they're at in this. I don't know, folks. I guess we'll just have to wait until they respond back to this later because they're not providing any kind of information along those lines. Um, so I don't know what this is referring to at all or how. So it would be nice to actually read up on this there, Pega. Just maybe a little bit. Would be nice. Alright. I believe we've already kind of looked at both of these, so yeah. Um, yeah, we've already passed the module quiz, so we're all done with that one. So, All right, so we're going to be moving on to the challenge next time. I'm sorry that this particular um, uh, section got really long for a video. The fact that I'm already like an hour and 45 minutes into this video, so I apologize for those of you that was kind of hoping for like just an hour. But I mean, I did what I could to try to figure out, what the heck they were talking about by the assertion marker. So, I welcome any kind of comments or maybe a link to assertion markers or whatever down in the comment section to help out, you know, not only myself but other people, others that might come along and go, yeah, that's right. Where is it? You know, um, would welcome any kind of additional information along those lines, but that's where we're going to go ahead and end today's Pega certification stream, or at least this portion of the stream. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. But until then, take care, have a good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time.